Watch the house with broken glass. Red ties, blue lights, same old mass. Tories trading truth for gold. Label folded, stories sold. They made their millions, made us pay. Gaslit nights, cost of living days. Hands in pockets, hands in bribes. While we bury dreams and scrape to survive. We see your rules for the rich. Your friends, your deals, your offshore ships. We ain't blind, we've had enough. You lit the match, now feel the rush. The people rise. The truth.
Evening, lads. How are we?
All right.
How
All
you doing,
good.
Jay?
You all right, mate?
How you doing, guys?
All good.
I'd like to say hello and
All
welcome
good,
to
all
this
good.
very first episode of the Truth Coalition podcast. Now, listen, to say we're excited about this is an understatement, fellas, isn't it?
Yeah.
First,
Oh,
I'm going to
absolutely.
introduce our cast. So, my name is Jay, and we've got Jason. Say hello, Jason.
How you doing, people?
We've got Simon.
Evening, people. How you doing?
And we've got John.
Evening, everybody.
Okay. Now listen, everyone, we're just four average guys and we've got a huge passion and opinions about the UK and all the injustices and the wrongdoings that are currently happening. Now, we're all just connected really via TikTok, where we all have our individual accounts and we're all very busy on TikTok. But we've started to get a little bit pissed off with this woke ideology. We're having far too many posts, comments, sanctioned, things shut down, and it's getting to the point where, you can't really say a great deal. So we decided that we would create the Truth Coalition podcast. We wanted to give our viewers and ourselves a platform where we could speak openly and freely about everyday injustices, ranging from war to politics to crime, immigration, and basically the current state of the UK. And mark my words, we will quite often be mentioning our very own friend and everyone's favourite, Mr. Starmer. Okay? Yeah. Now, listen, we have plenty of opportunity to speak about that guy today and other weeks. But I think tonight's first episode, I think there's only really one subject in the world that we're going to talk about, and that's what's currently going on in Iran. I mean, the war between Iran and Israel, obviously its origins, how it started, and the recent strategic bombings by the US and Trump, and what that could mean for the region, the rest of the world moving forward, and are we possibly heading towards some very worrying times? So I think it's only fair that we cover that topic tonight, guys. Jason, over to you, mate.
Yeah, let's get our teeth into it a bit. We all know that that Israel and Iran have been at each other's throats for years, forever. But over the past few weeks, they've been exchanging bombs, tit for tat. But it seems to me that Iran don't particularly follow US politics or actually know who he is, because they decided to burn American flags and threaten the US with nuclear war. So Trump, being a man he is, showed them what will was, and decided to put into action an operation to take out their uranium facility to stop them from building nukes. So he called this Operation Midnight Hammer. No, I didn't make this name up, because to me, Midnight Hammer sounds like an 80s porn film. But it's up to Trump, right? So anyway, he sent his B-2 bombers over there and struck 3 locations of the uranium storage. Can I say storage, where they store their uranium?
Yeah.
So one was in Fordo. The second was in Natanz. Is that right, Jay? You can say it better than me, mate.
Yeah, I think it's Natanz, isn't it? Yeah, Natanz.
And the third one is Isfahan.
That's the one, yeah.
Well, Trump used these new bunker buster bomb. And this bomb is absolutely amazing. We'll stick a little video up so you can have a look at it here.
This is a GBU-57, known as a massive ordnance penetrator. At 20 feet long and weighing 30,000 pounds, it is the world's largest non-nuclear bomb and can destroy targets buried deep underground, earning it the name Bunker Buster. To destroy Iran's heavily fortified nuclear facilities, experts say these are the conventional weapons with the best chance of success.
This is a big sucker. It is called the Massive Ordnance Penetrator, which basically sums up what it is.
Here's why the MOP represents Israel's best chance at destroying Iran's facilities, and why it can't do it alone. The MOP is the largest bunker buster bomb in the US arsenal. It's designed to penetrate hardened targets and plow through almost 200 feet of rock before detonating. Due to the MOP's weight, they can only be carried by the biggest bombers, such as B-2s. One bomb is unlikely to burrow deep enough to hit Iran's nuclear facilities by itself.
The metal is going to melt at some point, and so it does have limitations in terms of how far it can penetrate, and that's why you may have to follow it up with multiple instances. You drive a wedge in, it expands, and then you continue to drive it in the second time, and each time it's more effective. In a sense, you're trying to create an earthquake. You're trying to crack the mountain and to channel that seismic energy down to make whatever is under there, whatever facility is under there, shake around a lot.
The MOP is equipped with advanced guidance systems, including GPS, to allow for accurate targeting. It is also fitted with a delayed fuse, which allows the bomb to explode after it has penetrated its target.
You're going to wait until it gets down in there before it blows up, because you want to maximize the energy. Every foot counts in order to get it deeper to burrow down and have the effect.
Since it launched its campaign against Iran's nuclear program, Israel has damaged critical nuclear infrastructure and killed scientists. Iran has denied trying to build nuclear weapons and says its nuclear program is peaceful. According to the International Atomic Energy Agency, Iran already has enough highly enriched uranium to make around 10 nuclear weapons. Satellite images have shown damage at nuclear facilities, including Iran's largest enrichment facility, Natanz. But one key location remains unscathed, the Fordo fuel enrichment plant, where Iran produces highly enriched uranium. It's hidden in the mountains and is believed to be buried up to 295 feet below ground.
It's harder to hit deliberately so because the Iranians buried it under a mountain. Look, the US put NORAD under Cheyenne Mountain. It's way down under a lot of granite and a lot of rock. And you want to raise the threshold for your adversaries to hit something. Sometimes it's just really useful to bury it.
While Israel has bunker busters, none of the ones in its arsenal are powerful enough to penetrate deep enough to hit Fordo.
This is why the Israelis probably need U.S. assistance. The Israelis have a lot of bombs, but they need things that can kind of crack the mountain and create a wedge to create the tremors and to create vibrations that will be helpful to destroy the facility.
In addition to lacking the weapons to destroy Fordo, Israel also lacks the heavy bombers. Its ally, the US, has both.
Fundamentally, there's a choice here to be made about whether it is in the U.S. national interest to take out Fordo, to take out the Iranian nuclear program.
Well, this missile will shoot into the ground and it'll bury itself until it gets down to the designated location of where it wants to bury before it explodes. And Trump's done this on their massive uranium facility, so they can't build nuclear bombs. And at the same time, he hit all around the air bases with cruise missiles and dismantled the whole flipping lot of them. This is a big deal, and we don't know where it's going to take us in the future, but we know that it's troubled waters. But I want to go back to how this all begun, kind of the history between Iran and Israel. So I'm going to hand it over to Simon. He's going to drop a knowledge bomb. So Simon, give us a bit of information, mate.
Yeah, well, this actually happened quite a while ago. The Israeli and Palestinian conflict. This started back in the 19th century, actually, when Zionists fought to establish a homeland for the Jewish people in Ottoman, which actually controls Palestine, a region roughly corresponding to the land of Israel in Jewish tradition. So obviously they was there at some point in time. But the big thing was, the big difference, the Balfour Declaration in 1917 was issued by the British government to endorse an idea, this basically for the Jewish homeland of Palestine. So basically Jewish people could actually go there. And obviously straight away, massive influx of immigrants going to that region, coming from the backlash of World War II, from the Holocaust, international pressure, establishment of Jewish state in Palestine, leading to the creation of Israel in 1945. So yeah, they all run there very quickly after the war, obviously, because they had nowhere to go. But the problem is, it's just carried on with the war that followed. It's preceded displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians, long conflict between Israel and the Palestinian people. So basically, it's been being filled up with people from Israel, well, the Israelis, the Jews, and basically the Palestinian people have got nowhere to go. Now, this has carried on for a long time. I mean, the Israelis basically took control of the West Bank. They put a blockade up at the Gaza Strip, and Palestine, well, the Palestinians basically forced downwards. If you like to put a map up here at this point somewhere so people can see, it's not a very big place, is it? So this obviously carried on for much longer. There's been peace negotiations going on. None of it's ever happened because the problem is the Palestinians basically want a part of their country, but it's not happening because the Israeli basically keep pushing and pushing. The Palestine try and use political violence, and these have been operated with military backup by Israel, attacking them. The United States and other countries tried to step in and like play an acting role on it to try and cause peace, but it's not happening because there's too many people falling out about it. At the end of the day, you've got all the surrounding countries. You've got all the Muslim countries all around them, and you've got the Americans sticking their noses. Basically, no one can agree on this. But they've all got their own allies. Obviously, the USA, obviously backing Israel. The British obviously back Israel because we put them there in the first place. But yeah, that's about what I can say really. Up to date, there's lots going on every day.
I mean, that sounds like it's ringing a bell, don't you think?
It's
Yeah.
it's a hotbed, isn't it? It's a hotbed place. I mean, you've literally got Israel, and everyone around them doesn't seem to like them, do they? You know.
What do you think? It sounds a bit like what's going on in the UK right now. Don't you think? Like the influx of immigrants coming into the country is just going to displace people.
Yeah.
It's crazy, mate, with the immigrant situation in the UK now. It's absolutely getting out of hand now. It's unbelievable, mate.
Wobbs, what do you think about? Let's get into a few of the allies. What do you think can happen in the future? I mean, there's a lot of allies for both sides here. The US got loads of allies, Israel got loads of allies, and then you got Iran with their allies. So what kind of things do you think we're looking at?
By now that they've retaliated and hit the American bases in Qatar, I think they're going to start and hit them in the UK, to be honest. Because
what happened today?
Yeah, what happened today? Yeah, that happened today. So I think this will carry on. They're not just going to hit the army bases over there. They're going to hit them over here. They're going to hit them in every part of the world, to be quite honest, where America's got bases. They'll hit ours as well. Simple as.
Yeah, but what do you think people should be worried about? Do you think they should be worried about a world war because of the amount of allies that each side have got?
Quite possibly gone into the World War, but I think there'll be more of a civil war before the World War, mate. That's where it's leading up to now, especially with all these stabbings happening with these, how can I say it? I'll have to be careful how I word this.
No, you don't. Not on here.
With these immigrants that's coming in the country that's doing all these stabbings, what you hear on TV, when they tell you that it's a male being arrested, which we know what type of male that's been arrested, but if it had been an Englishman that's been arrested, they would have tell it was an Englishman. It's mad how they're hiding these things and the same man's been arrested. But like I said, if it's English, they'll let people know it's English. So they're making us out to be the bad ones. It's not us who's the bad ones, to be quite fair. And we're not racist. We're far from racist. We've been letting people into the country for years and years and years. But it's when they're coming into this country and they're not abiding by our rules, it's not right. It's wrong. It's totally wrong in many ways. I could sit here all night and talk and say in how many ways, and I could probably sit here for the rest of my life and explain how many ways it's all wrong.
Can I just ask a question, John? Do you think, with the influx of the immigration in the UK and a lot of them are undocumented, and we know there's a lot of Iranian immigrants come in, and they're talking about sleeper cells, do we think that these people were strategically put there in advance of that?
Yeah.
Do we think
100%.
that do we think that's a pretty logical, sensible sort of thing?
It's a logical, sensible
Yeah.
That to be quite honest, because when they first started coming into these hotels, there was trucks pulling up outside the hotels with palletfuls of boxes, and they were taking these boxes from these trucks, carrying them in, and they had UN wrote on the sides of the boxes.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that.
Yeah,
And
I
that
mean,
got taken down from social media straight away. And they didn't want anybody to say that. Obviously, that sent alarm bells ringing in my head straight away why they took that down of social media, because they don't want nobody to know that these are part of the UN that's in these hotels.
yeah, I
And
mean,
how
it's been in the media, right? It's been on mainstream media, and that the Iranian president is he called a president or head of the regime? That's what I would say. He said that he could activate his sleeper cells in the UK and the US. So it's something we got to be careful of. Jay, what do you think? What do you think about
for that? Go ahead. See, these
Yeah.
people that's talking about Uber and Just Eat and things like that. Like I said to my son, I said, didn't be going into places like that. You just need to boycott places like this seriously as do. It's a rendezvous. It's a meeting place for these guys, man. They all work for the system, and they're not going to get paid any other way. And that's the only way they're getting paid, so they can feed into who they are. Do you know what I mean?
into the regime? Yeah.
They're not getting any money. They need more money into it, and this is how they're doing it. They're working for Uber Eats, Just Eats, all of these companies. And when it kicks off and they get that green light to kick, God help, I just really hope there's nobody in these places like McDonald's, KFC, when they get the green light. Honestly,
Well,
because I think
it's scary times over here, Wobbs, isn't it? Jay, what do you think? What do you think about Starmer's stance on all of this?
To be honest, he's expressed a bit of a split position on this, really, because he's actively agreeing with the US's stance and basically saying that these strikes needed to happen. And he was aware they were going to happen before they happened. But on the other side, he's trying to dampen things down and trying to get Iran around the table, sit them down and try and sort of negotiate some kind of a way forward, where there's a sort of a ceasefire and we can come to a diplomatic solution to this. He's consistently stated that Iran's nuclear program is a grave threat to international security, and that Iran could never ever be allowed to develop nuclear weapons. And he has actually said that about the US, that the action that they've taken to alleviate the threat regarding the program was definitely the right call. But we know what Starmer's like. We know he hasn't got a bit of a spine. So while he's actively backing up Trump, in the other ear, on the other shoulder, you've got the little angel that's saying to him, "Be careful, Key. You don't want to rub Iran up the wrong way as well." So now he's flip-flopping between the two, basically. He's made it quite clear that the UK was not involved in this in no way, shape, or form. He's specifically made that clear, which, like I say, is Starmer all over, isn't it? I mean, he's not pinning his colours to either mast here. And he has made it quite clear that he was informed of the strikes. Now, he and Foreign Secretary David Lammy, they are pushing for a diplomatic solution rather than military action. And Starmer has discussed with the US President Trump the need for Iran to get to the negotiating table as soon as possible and make progress on a lasting settlement. Now, that was up until today, but as we now know, like John said, and we heard just as we were coming on, Iran have now hit US bases in Qatar. So where that leaves us with some kind of an international lasting settlement, I don't think that's on the table at all. So now it's going to be interesting to see if Starmer comes out and pins his colours to a mast. Is he going to side with Trump? Which, if he sides with Trump, obviously he then makes us and the rest of the UK and UK bases around the world and British people around the world a target. Yep. Or if he sides with Iran, that's then saying to Trump, "I'm siding with Iran," and the fact Iran have now just attacked British base in Qatar, that's basically him going against Trump. So he's put himself in this position, really, hasn't he? Yeah. By not sticking his colours.
Quite honestly, I don't think you side with Iran. I think you're going on Trump's side. To be
I just think he hasn't really got a backbone, so we don't know which side to play.
Exactly.
He can't make a decisive decision. I mean, David Lammy was over in Iran last week trying to negotiate a deal. Trump told him that he was going to strike Iran, but he's going to sit on it for 2 weeks and see what Iran do. and then decided not to tell Starmer that, and he just launched the Midnight Hammer operation without letting him know, because he was scared that Starmer would run off and tell Iran. You know what I mean?
I mean,
And this one here,
what does that say
yeah,
about Starmer as a world leader in the eyes of other leaders? The fact that you can't trust him to tell him something like that.
he's just embarrassing, isn't
It
he?
is. Absolutely.
So obviously we said that this happened as we was coming on today. This Iran striking the US bases, but it looked like a half-assed attempt. Like Iran wanted to show people that they're gonna try, but they
No
missed.
casualties. I mean, no
Yeah,
casualties.
no casualties. Nothing happened. You know, so I think Trump could take the win on this and not escalate the war. But then
Yeah.
I don't know about his ego. Can his ego take it? Simon, what do you think? Do you think Trump's ego can take that they shot a few bombs?
No, I
at
don't. No, I think he'd go all in.
Yeah.
I
I
really
think
do.
there's
But
no Trump.
I also feel, what do Qatar and Iraq think of Iran bombing bases in their country?
Again, so it's like I said, it's a hotbed. I mean, you could have the
You know
US,
what I mean?
Iran, Iraq, Qatar. I mean, this could just.
It could set all countries around globally.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's like a
actually
heated gas canister ready to go, and
Yeah.
somebody needs to step in and make the right decision. And you know what? I think Trump's show of power has scared him. It's scared
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because Iran would have missed something like that. They've got one of the most capable programs out there for missiles, and I don't think they would miss unless they wanted to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I
10
think of-
missiles. That's all they launched. 10 missiles, and they weren't very fucking accurate.
Do you know
No.
what I like about what Trump's done though is the fact that he made the decision, obviously, with his generals, you know, in the war room, as they say. He sat there and he went, right, tonight, bang, we hit them. He'd already moved all his pieces on the chessboard into position anyway. He never asked for anyone's permission. He didn't discuss it with anyone. And I think not the fact that he's shown everyone how ruthless he is, but he's actually shown everyone how fucking clever he is as well. You know, I
Yeah.
underestimated Trump, and there's a lot of people in America, you know, the idiots who decided to move out the country and all this kind of stuff because he was president. People who say he's an idiot and he's this. I think he's just proved in the last 4 or 5 days just how clever and just how ruthless he can be.
Yeah.
I mean, the media love to bang people down, don't they? And let's be honest, Trump wouldn't be in the position he was in unless he was smart. He is an amazing businessman, and he's shown himself to be an amazing president. He cares about America, and that's what all presidents, prime ministers, leaders of their country should only care about their country.
Exactly.
Starmer needs to take a leaf out of his book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Exactly, mate.
that now we're going to see now, aren't we? Like I've just said, which way Starmer going to go? Is he going to lean towards Trump? Which if he doesn't, and listen, if this comes down to a straightforward poll, and you ask the British people, who do you want Starmer to side with, Iran or Trump?
Yeah.
Do you want Trump on your side fighting your corner, or do you want to be
But
fighting?
the thing is, what people aren't realizing is, if we go over Trump's side, you've got all of these over here that's totally against Trump. So, what will them do over here?
Yeah, but
And
that's
that's
something that shows weakness to our country. Because if you go back to like the likes of Maggie Thatcher and stuff like this, they had they had the feeling of Great Britain. They were patriotic. They cared about their country, and that's all they said. So, despite what people say about Maggie, I absolutely love the woman. You know what I mean? Because she showed pure patriotic enthusiasm for our country. And
She did
Starmer,
come to
Starmer's like a
the
dead
Olympics coming in.
you know what I mean? Starmer's
Yeah.
hopeless.
Yeah.
I mean, you've only got. I mean, I know we're not going to really touch on this tonight, but you've only got to look at some of the situations, the way he's treated the pensioners, the way he's treated them young girls involved in grooming all them years.
Yeah.
You know, he's treating the NHS system. You know, and then we've got this serious situation in the world, and the fella's just sitting on a fence still.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what he says after tonight. I mean, I have had a look online. He hasn't come out and said anything yet, but that's typical Trump. I mean, I think any other world leaders probably already come out and made a statement. Guarantee, Starmer hasn't said a word yet.
Well, Starmer ain't going to say nothing until Nigel Farage does it. He's just going to nick his speech and say it for himself, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, people are worried in the UK right now. I think people need to understand that the UK, despite not having many soldiers because they've all quit, the defence of the UK is spectacular. The nuclear defence, Jay, you know a lot about this, mate. Maybe put some minds at rest to talk a bit about the nuclear defence of this country.
Well, I mean, the UK's probably got the best, or if not on par with the US, best nuclear defence in the world. And the UK's nuclear defence is primarily based on a single system. It's the Trident system. UK maintains a continuous at-sea deterrent. That's a CASD. It's mean that at least one of its nuclear submarines, fully armed, is always on patrol, undetected at all times. And this ensures a credible and an immediate response capability. So basically, at the drop of a pin, that is ready to go. Simple as that. The Trident system is operated by 4 Vanguard-class submarines. So we've got HMS Vanguard, we've got HMS Victorious, Vigilant, and Vengeance. Now, these submarines are all based at HMNB Clyde in Scotland. I've had the privilege of actually going up there. Actually, it's Gairloch Head, Faslane. So it's an amazing place. And it is home to D4, what they say, the 4 best submarines in the world. Now, each Vanguard-class submarine is armed with a Trident II D5 submarine launched ballistic missiles. Now, these missiles are leased from the US, believe it or not. So we actually lease our missiles, all right? Now, although the warheads themselves are designed and manufactured in the UK, they are leased from the US. Now, the Trident II D5 missiles, they're capable of carrying multiple independent targetable re-entry vehicles, which are MIRVs, basically meaning that each warhead can deliver separate warheads to different targets. So imagine a warhead opening up and then more warheads coming out the end of it. I mean, it's like space.
I think it's 5. It carries 5, is it? 5 warheads on each missile?
It's like sci-fi shit, isn't it? Now, since 1998, when the UK decommissioned its tactical W177 bombs, the Trident system has been the only operational nuclear weapons system in the British service. Now, while the UK's Trident programme is operationally independent, that means that the British Prime Minister, or Starmer, can launch missiles without any external input, which I don't think we have to worry. I think if other world leaders, if they just had the sole decision to press a button, we'd worry. But I don't think with Starmer, I think he struggles to wipe his own arse sometimes. Rely on the US for the supply and maintenance of the Trident II D5 missiles. The UK is currently undergoing a modernisation programme to replace its Vanguard-class submarines with the new Dreadnought-class submarines. Now, these are expected to be operational in around about 2030 to 2034. Now, these new submarines will carry Trident D5 missiles also, but instead of carrying 16, they'll only carry 12 because they'll only have 12 tubes. Now, the UK also plans to replace its current warheads with a new design. So if you think now the current warhead can then open up and release 5 warheads, what's this new design going to be able to do? We don't know yet because obviously that's obviously top secret. But the purpose of a nuclear deterrent basically is the primary purpose of the UK's nuclear deterrent is to preserve peace. And that is a fact. Nobody wants to be pressing a button. Because if one button's pressed, then it's probably the end of civilization as we know. But it's all about peace. It's to prevent war and to deter aggression by ensuring that the cost of attacking the UK or its NATO allies would far outweigh any political benefits. So what that's basically saying is we have such a good defence system. If Iran, if they were to press a button and send a couple of nuclear warheads here, that would be one of the biggest mistakes they ever made. They would be obliterated. Yeah. I mean, they would literally be obliterated in minutes. And
I see a little breakdown documentary on it, Jay, about these Trident missiles, and from one sub, if it shot 8 Trident missiles in the air, it could wipe out every single major power on Earth. One submarine.
Wow. Well, I'm just going to pop a video on now, so take a look at this, guys.
Its nuclear arsenal consists of 120 warheads, deployed on 4 Vanguard-class ballistic missile submarines. Of all the nuclear weapon states, the United Kingdom is the only nuclear power with a single deterrent system. Nuclear-powered ballistic missile submarines armed with submarine-launched ballistic missiles. Each submarine carries 8 Trident II submarine-launched ballistic missiles. The Trident II SLBM is the sole nuclear delivery system in the UK's nuclear arsenal. Each missile is armed with 5 100-kiloton Holbrook thermonuclear warheads. In theory, each sub can launch its entire 8-missile payload virtually undetected in under 3 minutes.
So what do you think about that then, eh?
Yeah,
That's
that's what I
amazing.
mean. Though. People need to calm down and not worry so much. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, we were speaking about it
Do you,
earlier
not
on.
think that's what they're do you not think that's what they're doing to the general public, though, scaremongering them?
Well, I would say yeah.
They want us scared. They
Yeah.
want you in your house, shitting yourself, terrified to go out, fearful of what's outside. You know, I think it's been the case for many, many years. They've wanted us inside.
Yeah. At the end of the day, you can control scared people. You can't control angry, aggressive people. That's the difference.
Yeah.
So
Right,
if you get the public scared, they'll do as they're told. Just look at COVID.
And that's
Yeah.
where people like us come in, though, guys, because you won't get to they won't tell you this. Excuse me, they won't tell you this information on the news. You know, about warheads, giving you videos of what they look like. You know what they can do. You know, and what it means about it. You never hear them on the news say, you know, the UK's got one of the best nuclear defences in the world, and you know, and this is what would happen if someone tried to attack us. They don't do that. They basically just like to say, oh my God, if somebody was to press a button, we could all die. And that's what they leave. It always seems to be the final thing they tend to say. So it gives us people like us and other people on podcasts and social media the chance to actually tell people what the governments aren't telling them, and hopefully trying to put people's minds at rest. And I think, knowing the capabilities we've got, I don't think the British mainland should be worrying about any attack Iran can fire at us.
No.
I mean, I think Britain is one of the most unpenetrable places on the planet, is because we're surrounded by allies.
Yeah.
So any missiles coming over, they got to get past all our allies before they get to us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
the biggest issue is that if people ain't got faith in our leader, i.e. Keir Starmer, because with the face of Keir Starmer, would you want to go to war with him? You know, he terrifies the life out of me, this guy.
No.
So yeah, I just think that anti-patriotic kind of attitude that he's got, and the flailing all over the place because he's such a weak-willed person, it scares the crap out of the whole of the UK. You know what I
To be
mean?
honest, I don't think he knows what he's doing. He obviously doesn't, does he? Otherwise, the country wouldn't be in this shit situation. Sorry, wouldn't be in this situation that it's in.
Statements like, if you don't like it, you know where the door is, to his own people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't do that to your people if you work for your country, would you?
No.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people took that literally and pissed off.
Yeah.
They went, all right, thank you
Yeah.
very much. See you later.
There's one there.
I
There's one
This
over
James
there.
pointing in
I
Spain
wonder
at
if he'd
me.
let those without passports go. Do you think he'd let those who haven't got passports go back over, would he? An Englishman.
Well, they're here without passports, mate. They're here because they want to be here, but if
Would
they
they let
don't
us
bring
go
them
without
in,
a passport if we didn't have a passport to another country?
No.
I mean, if we look at it honestly, the biggest thing is that he talks about is mass deportation, but he never fulfills it. At the
He
moment,
doesn't-
we've got mass immigration that requires mass deportation to level the fields, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when you got these people pouring out our country, undocumented, all warrior-aged men, and now we've got this war of Iran. They're saying they've got sleeper belts, and we've got Iranians just pouring into our country. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's like, maybe we ain't got to worry about the threat outside.
It's
Maybe
only,
we should start worrying about the threat inside.
well, that's what I was
You know?
saying. How many undocumented Iranian immigrants are in the UK? We know a lot of them come from Iran. We know a lot of them come from Syria. We know a lot of them from Pakistan. It is scary. It is scary times when you look at it that way. I mean, you were asking what all this means for the UK. I don't think the threat's going to come, like you just said there, Jason, from outside, from Iran. It probably will come from Iran, but the threat's already here.
Yeah.
And the worst
They're
thing
sitting
about
in the hotels waiting, mate. That's the threat.
The worst thing about it, we're feeding them, we're clothing them, we're keeping them
Yep.
fit and by giving them doctors and nurses and free medicine. So they're going.
And you're ringing up for a delivery by Uber Eats and Just Eat. No, there's another one coming out as well. I think it's Doorstep, something Doorstep it's called. So just keep your ears peeled for that delivery service.
Oh,
as well.
I've seen this earlier. Right? Yeah, I see someone reporting on this earlier about these illegal immigrants all working for Deliveroo and Just Eat and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's how
Undocumented.
you're feeding the money. That's just
Undocumented.
what people need to understand. You're feeding the money for this to happen in the country. Stop buying just from Just Eat. Don't be lazy. Just order from your local takeaway, man. Different go online and use Uber Eats or Just Eat or any of these platforms.
I'm going to carry on using them.
George,
Just easy. I'll tell you what, next time I say wobble said I'm not allowed to pay you and I'll snatch the food out.
yeah, go for it, mate. Go for it. You're not realising he's checking to make sure your chips are hot as well before he gives you them.
The sad thing about that is, I mean, we know what these people's opinions is of women. We know what lengths that they'll go to. They're so blatant the way they're attacking women in the street, broad daylight. Imagine you're a young girl with another young girl at home. You decide you're going to order some food, and these people turn up at your door.
Yeah,
we've seen the videos where they're trying to force into people's houses in the middle of the day, kicking in doors just to get to young women. It's scary. So there's such a massive threat from these people, and we've tried to talk about this many times on other platforms, and like you say, you just get shut down. It actually feels good to be able to talk about it, knowing that nobody's going to shut you down and that kind of thing. It is good, but I think when we're talking about what have we got to worry about regarding this thing that's going on with Iran and Russia, with Iran and US, I think just let that play out. I think the main thing the British people need to worry about, like we just said, is the threat within.
Yeah,
the threat within.
These are all spouting from one to another, right? Because Trump, this is all coming from, say, Trump getting into presidency, open up complete war on illegal immigrants in his country that every other country are frowning upon. He's pushing them out. He's mass deporting these people. He's showing what every other country needs to be doing.
yeah.
And then it's one thing after another, and it leads to a situation like this. Well, Trump's had enough of his country being abused. And then you've got Iran burning flags, saying they're going to end the US, end the UK. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And Trump's just gone, I'll show you what power is. I'll show you what a president needs to be. Here's a couple of bombs. Let's see what you do about it. And that's exactly what we flipping need, mate.
Do you know what I wanted to see, though? I really want to see Trump, after he came out and said, I want to see him do that little dance, that little dance. Just to say to Iran, here, mate, fuck you. Some of that sort of thing.
Do little fist pump. You know what I mean?
You're right what you say. He's flexed his muscles. He stuck his chest out. He stuck his flag in the sand and went, listen, we ain't taking no shit. No. They know something. I mean, the CIA and the Americans, they're not daft. There's a reason why they've done this. And Iran, as we know, which we haven't mentioned, have been threatening America in recent weeks with sleeper cells. So Trump's went, really? You're going to threaten me and my country? Have some of that. And I admire it. Only time will tell if it's the right thing to do. But you've got to admire the fact that he's made a decision. They've come to the decision. He hasn't done it alone. He's got other clever generals and people working with him. Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State and everybody who would have spoken to. They've come to this decision. They didn't piss about. They just went bang and they hit them, and they caught the whole world by surprise.
Yeah. Well, also what he's done is by taking out them 3 sites. He's not hurt no civilians. He's not bombed no towns. He's took out the 3 key places he needed to accurately without hurting anybody else, to make a point of it. To say, there you go, that's what I can do. What's coming next?
Yeah. So this is Trump has flexed his muscles, and people need to follow suit. I don't think he's done this just for Iran. I think he's done this to go to the EU, to go to all the other international threats and say, don't fuck around with me, because I'm not having it no more.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen it? This is spouted down now because did you see the pro-Palestinian march in London today?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Another one.
it's diabolical, right?
It is, yeah. It is. What's your stance on that, Simon? What's your stance on that? On the Hamas Palestinian kind of situation? I mean, it's a difficult one. Well, what's your stance on that, mate?
I don't agree with what's going on in Palestine, with what's gone on recently, and Hamas just had to go back because this has been going on for years.
Yeah.
They cut off the water to all the Palestinians. They switched the electricity off.
Yeah,
It's been going on a long time. I don't agree with it, but there's nothing I can do about it. And these idiots with their flags, what can they do about it? Nothing. If they feel that strong about it, get on an aeroplane and go over there and help them.
Yeah,
there's nothing we can do about it. It's not within our power. And at the end of the day, it's the UK that basically gave them the land over there in the first place to Israel.
Yeah.
So we've caused the problem again.
Yeah. Well,
This is probably why we'll be the first people that says, "Oh, Palestine, you can come to us," because we feel guilty, obviously, or our politics does.
yeah.
So what can you? Nobody can do anything about it. There's too many countries involved with Palestine and Israel going on, and they've all got their own allies.
Yeah.
And everybody's upset about what's going to happen next.
Just
That's
seems,
it, isn't it?
Just seems to be a protest every single day. Every time you click on the Google, every time you read a news article, all you're seeing is Palestinian flags. Everybody.
Yeah, but when you see these protests, what I cannot understand is you might see the odd police in uniform, but you'll not see them in riot gear. But if it was the like of me going out there with a banner for to save our kids, they'd be rioting.
Right.
Well, look, remember
I mean, we protest for the UK and we get called racist, far right fucks, right? And let's be honest, that's what we get called. And then you get people like Tommy, Lucy, Connolly, who say what they say, what's actually happening. They've told the truth, and they get locked up for it.
Yeah.
You know, you just think you can't suppress people that much and not expect a reaction whilst you're letting these pro-Palestinian, stop oil protesters, all these left-wing protesters can do whatever they want and say whatever they want. And it wouldn't even bother me that much if they were educated, because half of these people are gay, trans, whatever. And I think if you go over there, they're going to lob your head off, mate, or throw you off a building, you know, because they don't support that.
You're right. That's what you say. I mean, their stance on gay, lesbian, trans in the Muslim countries, I mean, they would absolutely obliterate you. I mean, you are worthless to them. Yet there's so many. If you look at these protests, they've all got pink hair, purple hair, they've got rainbow flags on as well. And you just look at it and you just think, I don't actually think they know what they do. And I think if they just see a crowd of people and they think, oh, I'll feel important for a few hours.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a mental health problem? With
with them. Yeah, 100%, mate. That's why
the trans ideology you're talking about.
I mean, these protesters. All of these left-wing protesters, they kind of. I just got the feeling that they kind of got some mental illness, because maybe they weren't the most popular person growing up, or maybe they had a little hassle growing up, or they ain't got no friends, so they can't. It just seems to me they can't adjust to their own life, so they have to pick a cause, no matter what cause.
I was on a protest with the Great British National Protest back in May, and Free Palestine turned up, shouting abuse, calling us racists and fascists. And at the end, these 4 young people come over to talk to us, to want to know what we was protesting for. Didn't even ask us in the first place, but actually 3 of those was trans.
Yeah.
And one of them was a young girl. But they was all trans. All 4 of them, 3 of them were trans, and those all young people. Those all students at the local university.
All university students, exactly.
Yeah. That's basically what it was.
When I was at that protest at the Grays Monument, Newcastle, it was exactly the same there, Simon. Exactly the same. They didn't have a clue what they were shouting about, man.
I don't think it helps.
Along with the people that was over there. It was crazy.
I had this conversation recently with someone, and they asked me, and I said, it tends to always be, and tell me if I'm wrong, you always get like loner children, loner kids. They're not very good at sports. They're a bit lonely, you know, they stay at home a lot, and they haven't really found their group of people. So what happens is mum and dad sort of say to them, oh, well, we'll take you to see a doctor or a nurse or a shrink. And while they're there, somebody fills them with this shit like, oh, well, maybe he's you're in the wrong body. And then what happens
Yeah.
is they'll go online and they'll look it up, and then a group of people will sort of almost groom them and say, yeah, come and join the trans community. That's right. You might actually really be a girl in a man's body, and we'll welcome you. And they sort of find a group of people that sort of sucks them in, and you just go with it. And it is an ideology. I don't believe that these young people sit there one day and go, I know I'm called David, but really I think I should be called Davinia or whatever it is. And I think, you know, I don't think that. I think a lot of it is put in there. It's an ideology that's drilled into them. I mean, when you've got nurses, doctors, school teachers, even politicians.
It's a bit like that. It's a bit like mind control, isn't it?
Yeah,
Brainwashing
but when you've got doctors, nurses, shrinks, even shrinks are telling kids, oh, well, you know, you might have been born in the wrong body. What kind of fucking psychology degree teaches you to tell a child who's struggling in life, might have a lot of friends, who doesn't fit in very well, that you might have been born in the wrong body? Because that's what they're doing. And it's totally wrong.
Because those that's telling them that have got psychological problems themselves, but they've got a degree in it.
Yeah, it's just...
I mean, it's a dangerous kind of situation to be in, because
it's scary to think, mate. Could you imagine?
Yeah, I mean,
children at the nursery school coming home and telling you, Mr. Bryson was Mrs. Bryson this morning because he was wearing a dress and blue hair.
I mean, it goes deeper than that, John. It goes extremely deep, because our kids are being indoctrinated in school to hate themselves and regret things that happened in the past hundreds of years ago that had nothing to do with. And these kids leave school so weak and so ashamed of themselves that it's easy for them to be indoctrinated. And with some of the things I've seen, and some of the hate speeches I've seen made by Islamists and stuff, they will openly say it won't be us that takes over you. It won't be people with the brown skin. It will be your people that we take on.
Yeah,
you know, so it's extremely. If you don't raise your kids to be strong and feel comfortable in their own skin, they're at risk of being one of these hate groups, and possibly they could be the next one with a bomb strapped to their back, jumping on a bus in central London, and that's a scary thought.
But when
you know what I mean?
But when you look at the profile of the young lads and lasses who walk into schools in America with a gun and shoot up a school, they're all loner kids. They're all kids who've been sheltered by the parents, given everything they want. They haven't really found their way in life. And all of a sudden, you know, in they go, and they're massacring kids in school. And if you look at them, they all seem to have a very similar profile, don't they? They're very weak. They're very weak mentally, and I'm not saying that that's wrong to be weak mentally. You are what you are, but they all seem to be a very similar profile. So do all these trans people. They're all very, very, very similar profile. You know, they're almost robotic when they speak to you, and I just think they have no respect for anybody. You know, they don't give a shit about anyone's property, anyone's houses. I mean, look at the damage they've created to some of the paintings, throwing paint and beans and stuff all over. You know. Claude Monet
in Palestine, painted red hands all over the place.
I mean, and then when they're not getting punished, that's why they've got this victim mentality. But then when they do get arrested briefly and they're let out on the street, they're not being punished. If that was me and you walked into the Louvre or any major art and destroyed a painting, and don't get me wrong, them paintings have been saved. They haven't been saved with a little bit of a wet wipe and a bit of damp cloth. They've had to use professional people. Will have cost tens of 20, 30,000 for professional people who restore art to fix them. Who's paying for that?
Yeah, taxman's paying for that.
Yeah, taxpayer.
You know, it's just getting beyond the joke now, and it does always seem to be the same profile of person who are doing this, the same profile of person who are at these Palestinian marches. You know, they're all the same kind of profile. And it's like they're all easily sort of brainwashed. I dare believe we could get one of on here within an hour. We could flip the brain and be one of us. I think that.
I think somewhere down the line over the next few weeks, maybe we should cover a lot of this kind of mental health struggle in youngsters growing up, because they need to understand that we all go through mental health. Like, everybody on this planet suffers with some form of mental health. No one's truly happy, and everybody's got struggles, right? So they're not alone, but they just need to find the right kind of direction to go into to fix themselves.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe we should definitely cover this at one point, and maybe try and help some of these youngsters rather than him going to an extremist kind of situation that they're going to at the moment, which is also bringing us round in full circle again. You know what I mean? You go, oh,
you've even
go
got
on.
young men and women who are converting to Islam. I mean, white British males who are converting.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like they've got nothing left in their life, and that's what they've got to turn to. You know, like these other people have got nothing left in their life. They've got to be so drastic and like, you know, claim to be something they're not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you've even got some of these. I call them characters. I'm going to call them. I'm going to be polite. They're going into schools, and you know, they're going into school as a cat, and they've got cat litters in the corner for these people. I mean, it's just and they're being indulged as well. We're indulging it. That's the worst thing about it. We're indulging it. And for me, I think that's wrong. And when you keep indulging it, other young people growing up and getting to that age of 12, 13, 14, they're going to see this and go, oh, well, I want to be a cat. I want to be a donkey. I want to be whatever. and if they're seeing it, it's allowed. I mean, when we went through school, anyone in the classroom being disruptive was kicked out of the class because it was affecting the pupils. You telling me that a kid walking around the classroom on all fours, meowing, pissing in a cat litter tray is not disruptive, then I don't know what is.
Yeah. I mean, it's hilarious, right? But it's so true. It's so true, but still, I mean, when you have kids, right? When you have kids, and they pretend to be a dog or a cat, and it's funny, right? But now imagine that your kid's 15 years old, crawling around on the floor, barking like a dog, meowing like a cat. You know, if that was my kid, I'll give him a clip round the ear, tell him to get his ass off the fucking floor.
The thing is, while this kid's being a fucking cat, the other kids are being conditioned into the fact is this is okay.
Yeah.
This is normal, yes.
It's brainwashing in another way, isn't it? They look at this kid and think, yeah, that's all right. Go and have a piss over. Yeah, I'll be a fucking cat. I might get some milk out of it.
Yeah.
This is the problem. But it is, isn't it? Fucking is.
It's Maggie's fault, isn't it? She stopped the preschool milk, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I blame Jamie Oliver for changing the fucking dinners.
But you're right what you say, though. They are all, I mean, like we're going back to the Palestinian protests. They're all in the same sort of mold. They all seem brainwashed. You look at them and there's no light in their eyes. They're robotic. You can speak to them. Like you said, you ask them what you're protesting about.
Nothing there. There's nothing in between any of us.
They don't know what they're protesting about. They just it's like they just want to be part of something. And that's what it seems.
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing I find is if I come across I'm going to say right-winged people. Yeah, I don't believe it's right-wing. I just think it's common sense, right? So if I come across people that are right-winged, you can have a full discussion with them. They will answer you honestly, and they will learn something if they don't know. So they will go, "Oh, I guess I'm wrong. I will have a look into that, and then I will change my stance on that situation." So no, that's everyone I've come across who's kind of right-winged. You come across like a left-wing person, and you prove them wrong. They get violent.
Yeah.
They get violent. They start screaming, shouting. They don't want to listen to you. They call you all the names. They start calling you racist just because you proved them wrong. You know, it's like they're all absolutely mental. Do you know what I mean? It's
they can't handle the truth, mate. They don't want to hear the truth.
Yeah.
We're living in denial.
In the end, it's like there's no point talking to him. You can't teach an idiot he's an idiot. That's the way I say it.
It doesn't matter how many times you scream till you're blue in the face. There's no way of changing an idiot. They're not going to listen no matter what.
Look at Professor Peterson, the Canadian Professor Peterson. We all know who he is, yeah? And he was in Canada, and he basically turned around and said to the university, "I'm not using these words. I'm not using these pronouns." I mean, they had to get a police guard to get him out. That these students wanted to kill him. I mean, they literally wanted to kill him, and he was going to run about him losing his job. I mean, he's become very, very famous. I mean, he's a very wealthy guy. He's all over the internet. I mean, we've all seen him, and he talks so much sense. Yet, like you saying there, if he speaks about his beliefs and his opinions in front of these people on the far left, I mean, they were, like you say, there's no bend in their brain. You know, if you know, if they think the sky is blue, the sky is green, then as far as they're concerned, the sky is green. You can show them thousands of pictures, you know, and prove it. They're not having it. It's still green, and that's it.
Yeah.
No matter how much
Yeah.
proof you show them.
Well, the same thing happened with right. Is it Riley Gaines? Is it the swimmer?
I was going to say next year in the school. Yeah, the attack.
Yeah. She got held hostage in the school, and the security was in the same room as her.
She was locked in a room for about 3 or 4 hours. You
She
know,
had to pay them to get out.
yeah. She paid them like $50 each or something like that. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But you know what I like about that? When President Trump declared a few months ago that no males should compete in female sports, who was front and center behind him, and he turned around and he actually mentioned her. I mean, what a moment for her in her life after everything she's been through, everything she had to put up with. She never gave in a fight, you know, and he stood and he gave her the recognition she deserved. And fair play to her, because, you know, there's nothing to her, you know. She's like 5'4", 5'5" or something like that. You know, she's not big, not a really tall person, just a little woman, and a little woman with a big voice and a massive, massive heart, and fair play to her. But the fact he gave her the recognition was a good day for her after watching.
It just brings you all the way back to why Trump is so loved across the world by ordinary people with common sense.
But if you read the British press, though, they never say anything nice about him, do they? Because they don't want us to like him.
You can't even if you typed into Google Donald Trump now, the first 11 things that will come up will be negative.
Yeah.
They don't talk about the good that he does.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if the laws were the same as America and the UK? What do you think it would be like then?
Say that again, John.
If the laws were the same in the UK, what do you think the situation would be like here?
I think it would just go off, mate.
Yeah.
Do you think a lot of people would be abusing the fact of being able to carry a weapon?
Oh, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Well, you look at the UK. Let's say, for instance, the UK had the same gun laws as America, all right? And there's videos of that guy when he was trying to kick the front woman's door in, somewhere in Kensington, and he grabbed the young girl, didn't he? And he tried to run off down the street. Have you all seen that video?
Yeah.
Got a gun, he's dead.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
100%.
He's dead. In America, he does that in America, he's dead. He's got a bullet in the back of his brain. You know?
Yeah.
Whether it's right or wrong, that's not my opinion. But if someone was attacking my child, trying to steal my child, and I've got a legal license for a firearm, and in the state of where I live gives me the right to use it if me or my family are in danger, then too fucking right, mate. I'm putting one in him. So I think I think America. No, I don't think half of what's going on in the UK would go off in America for the fact that they've got the right to firearms in some, is it 46 states still or something like that? I might be wrong on that one. But the UK, we don't do it. I mean, the UK, you call someone a name on the internet, you go into jail. In America, you can't.
Knock on the door, aren't you? Your door's gone in.
Yeah. So massive difference.
I mean, I'm a full supporter of the right to bear arms. I am a full supporter of it, and that's only because I was born in South Croydon in a little dump where I could buy a handgun for 50 quid. You know, so everybody had one.
Yeah.
So whether you make it legal or not, they've still got them. They're still carrying them. It's just that the people that abide by the law don't have them. Do you know what I mean? So it's a dangerous situation to be in certain places in the UK when you know that 14-year-old kid, that 15-year-old kid has got a gun on him and he's willing to take what you got and you can't defend yourself. So for that reason, I'm like, all right, we have to come to the understanding here, and the police definitely have to come to the understanding here that they're carrying them anyway. It's only the people that follow the law that don't.
Yeah.
So they're in harm's way because you ain't giving them no way to defend themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's basically what they're doing to us now, though, isn't it?
You can understand now, though, if people in the UK were going out and buying a gun for 50 quid and stashing it under the bed.
Yeah.
Especially with this going off now, going back to Iran, they talked about sleeper cells, the amount of Iranian undocumented immigrants in the country. You know, if someone came, if you're sitting in the pub, you may having a pint, and goes, listen, pal, you've heard about what's going off. I can get you a gun for 50 quid. No one will know about it, just to protect you and your family. Would you buy one? I would.
Yeah,
Damn right.
100%.
And
Yeah.
would you?
Yeah, because you've got your family. I've got my wife here. I've got my kids here. I don't want no one hurting my wife and kids. I know I'll do anything in my power not to let that happen. And I don't care if they lock me up for it. I don't give a crap. You can do whatever you want as long as my wife and kids are safe.
Yes.
I will do whatever it takes.
And there's
You
a
know what I mean?
difference as well.
If somebody comes to invade your castle, you're in your rights to protect it. Simple as
Yeah,
that.
but,
Yeah.
the thing is, John, it is like that in the UK. You had that whole story. What was it? 10 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, where them thieves kept breaking into the farmer's house over and over again. And he shot one of them, but they
Yes.
were running away, and he went to prison for it. And I just think, hold on,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was just defending his domain.
The difference is, let's say, for instance, you know, you go to prison and you go to prison because you've defended your wife and you've saved your wife and children. Let's say you go and get 12, 14 years in prison. All right, prison's going to be tough, but you're going to get respect from a lot of the lags in there as well for defending your family. You're not that you go in there and you're like a horrible little crackhead who's robbed some old woman or mugged some old woman or something. You know, you're going to go in there and you're going to go in there with a different mindset as well. You're going to go in there knowing it's going to be tough. But you're always going to be able to wake up every morning that the reason why you're there, would you do it again? And you would. You know?
Yeah, of course you would.
Yeah.
100%. Definitely.
With the justice system we got right now, there are people attacking our girls, attacking our daughters, attacking our mothers.
Yeah.
And because they don't talk English, and because it's okay in their country, they're not getting sentenced for it over in this country.
No.
Do you know what I mean? And it gets to the point where you're just like, would you even bother phoning the police anymore? Would you even bother?
No.
Or would you just deal with it yourself?
Well, if
That's
you did
where I
phone
look
the
at things
police,
now.
their response now would probably be they'd be knocking on your door from that phone call 2 days later.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, John, look what happened to your mum and dad in the bus stop. We covered it, didn't we, on TikTok? That's how me and John got chatting. He put a post on. His mum and dad were stood at a bus stop about 10:15 at night up in Newcastle. Someone went past in a car and flung a can of Coke. It was almost full. Luckily, it missed them because they're in their 80s. John went to the police and basically there's nothing they could do. So John had to go out on his own. He found the CCTV footage. Well, a company who had the footage went to the police. And we got chatting. I put a big post out. And that was when I had a lot of followers on there. I put a big post out, tagged John in it. You know, it went for 300, 400,000 views that had. And then John had a phone call with the police. So we videoed it. We put that on as well. And she was basically on there saying like, well, you know, we'll get someone round there. Did anyone ever go round?
No.
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 But
That's the sheer state of this country.
If you went on Facebook and criticised one of these Muslim people or one of these immigrant people, you'd be getting a knock on your door within 48 hours.
Yeah,
100%,
guaranteed.
definitely.
Straight away.
You probably get the knock on the door the same night, mate.
Yeah.
The
It
thing
is
is, I put out a few posts on TikTok, and I openly say, like, it don't matter where you're from, what colour your skin is, what religion you are. If you're a good person, you're a good person. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
So if you are a good person and you are a part of that faith or you are that skin colour, these bad ones are doing you an injustice.
Yeah.
So stand up for the religion or the race that you believe in. Stand up for them, because no one will think bad of you for saying, well, no, you're just bringing our race, our religion, our preferences. You're bringing them a bad name and you're making everyone turn against us. So everybody needs to stand up who are good people, law-abiding people, and want the same things as we do. The only thing I have a little issue with is if you do come to the UK, understand that the UK recognise the Church of England as their religion. So respect it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But they don't help themselves either, because whenever they do fire back at you, they say they're going to come for your mother, your daughters, you know.
Yeah.
Don't they? Some of the threats.
They do.
They're playing into our hands when we tell them, when we say that they have no respect for our women, that they're assaulting our children, our women, and they come back at you, and the first thing they say is, "I'm going to do your mother, I'm going to get your daughter, I want to this," and you just sit there and you think, you've just basically proved everything I've said right by your response, and that is all you get from. Oh, they're going, like the one I got last week, I'm going to chop you up and set you on fire and all this kind of stuff, you know. And sometimes you just think to yourself, how can they get away with saying that? Yet Lucy Connolly is in jail for 31 months for basically saying as what that guy said to me.
Yeah, and that whole situation is so ridiculous because I was online as the thing was unfolding. I read Lucy Connolly's comment, but I also read 1,000 others that were 10 times worse than that.
Yeah.
They used her to make an example of her to appeal to a different ethnic community so he can get the votes. That is all it comes down to. The way I see it is all it comes down to. When what he really needs to do is grow a spine, change his name to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And do something good for the country.
It's another scaremongering tactic as well, what they're using. That she said that and she's gone to jail for so many months. If you say that, you're going to get exactly the same.
Does
So
it-
people are
Well,
scared.
at the moment, what are we on? 30 a week are getting charged with social media posts. 30
Is
a
that
week.
what-
It's ridiculous, isn't it? Absolutely ridiculous.
Does any of you think that? Remember when JD Vance and Donald Trump started speaking up about Tommy Robinson being in jail for telling the truth, and then within a few weeks, Tommy Robinson was released early. Now, is that a coincidence or what?
No, the thing is, Trump said he's going to step in.
Yeah,
He
and
said
all
he
of a
would step
sudden-
in for,
yeah,
for,
and all
for
of a sudden
Tommy, and
Tommy's
he's
released.
also stepped in for Lucy Connolly.
Yeah. Now, is she going to be released? Let's hope she is.
I don't
Yeah.
see why she's not. She's there, mate. I really don't.
No.
All she done was she expressed the fact that she was angry, and she's gone
But
to
she's
prison
got
for
to
it.
take down off those.
We have freedom of expression in this country. She should not be in prison.
Absolutely.
It was the night that them three girls were brutally murdered in
Yeah.
South.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
those three
right.
little girls.
Let's get one
Yeah.
thing straight, though. By the way, that scumbag, that evil fucker, right, who went into that dance studio, he killed three girls, but he wanted to kill them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's not forget that he didn't just go
And
in
the fact that 2 days before he was going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
So he was planned.
He had it all planned. It was all written down, wasn't it?
The whole world was angry. She went on there, and bear in mind, Lucy Connolly has been struggling mentally. She has got some mental health issues, which it's documented. It's on a medical record. They didn't take any of that into consideration. It's almost like they used her as a scapegoat to say, this is going to happen to you if you open your mouth. And they banged her in jail 31 months. It's one of the most shocking cases in recent years I've ever heard of.
I mean, it was all pushed through so fast, mate. When it was just like, bang, you're arrested, bang, you're there in court, bang, you're in prison, and you just think, wow, where's the justice there?
Yeah,
You know,
wasn't
I
any.
don't get to try and prove myself.
yeah, I know.
Take it into consideration. I'm not being funny, but when that happened and all the riots did kick off, Keir Starmer got up and said whatever he wanted to say.
Yeah,
He incited violence. He ain't in prison. He was calling people names. He ain't in prison.
one good thing will come from this when she's eventually released. She's going to make a fucking fortune, fellas.
Yeah, of course she is. She'll write a book.
She is going to
Yeah.
make an absolute fortune. I hope she does. She deserves every single penny of it. Every single
I
penny of it.
hope she wipes the government clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bleeds them
He
dry.
won't be in power very much longer anyway, Starmer. I don't believe. He's on his way out the door and he knows it. And I think
He's packing his kids
Angela
out.
Rayner. I think Angela Rayner's going to take over because she's pushing for it already. She's already turning her back on him. So
There's
I
a
don't
few
think that'd be good for the country either.
back on them now, isn't there?
Out
Oh,
of the
turning the
frying
back
pan into the
on
fire,
the-
as they say, yeah? Out the frying pan into the fire,
Yeah.
you know?
Because
Definitely.
she's a nasty piece of work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course she is.
Isn't she?
Well, I think that's going to be something we're going to have to seriously cover on the next podcast, guys. But we're coming up to the end of this one now, fellas, and I've got to say, like we've covered a lot tonight, and it's been good fun, hasn't it? It's went better.
Yeah.
than-
Yeah.
I've
Think
enjoyed
you
it.
do something. Think you got plenty to go at, haven't you?
Yeah, plenty to go
Yeah.
up. Plenty to
Right.
go up. So
And this is just my first one, guys.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
episode 1, guys, and it's been for anyone who does actually watch this podcast. It'll be on most of the platforms. I'll get it on the YouTube.
Yeah.
We'll get it on the X. It might take a couple of days to get them on all the platforms, but it will be going
Yeah.
out 24 hours. Please do like, please do follow, please do subscribe. Please get something in the comments. Let us know what you think. And we will be making more of these podcasts. But firstly, I'd like to just say thank you for myself, Simon,
Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. Really appreciate it. Hope to see you
Thanks.
soon.
Jason.
Yeah, thank you, guys. You know what? It's been amazing. We've wanted to do this for a while. So we're grateful that you guys are coming on to check us out. But yeah, do the subscribe and all that thing because it'll help us out.
And John,
Yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. Yes, subscribe, like you says, and I'll catch us all on the next one.
guys, thank you very much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Truth Coalition.
Good evening.
We watch the house with broken glass, red ties, blue lights, same old mass. Tories trading truth for gold, label folded, stories sold. They made their millions, made us pay. Gaslit nights, cost of living days. Hands in pockets, hands in bribes. While we bury dreams and scrape to survive. We see your rules for the rich, your friends, your deals, your offshore ships. We ain't blind, we've had enough. You lit the match, now feel the rush. The people rise, the truth ignites. From the silent streets to sleepless nights. No more lies, no more games. We won't be pawns, we won't be tamed. Oh, you built your throne, on broken trust. Oh, now the regime falls because of us. Illegal wars and contracts sealed. Cameras blind when truth gets killed. One law for you, one law for none. Justice choked under Albion's sun. Labor cheers in Tory tone. Promise change but left us alone. Two wings, one vulture in disguise. But the people see and the people rise. No justice, no peace, no voice we speak. You stole our futures in daylight death, but we are many and we're what's left. The people rise, we roar, we fight in every borough, every night. No more spin, no more disguise. We claim the truth, we claim the skies. This land, our voice, our blood, our name. We burn your mask, we end your game. This land, our voice, our blood, our name. We burn your mask, we end your game.